Your turn, Yugi boy.
What is up, guys? This is AlintheaYoh coming at you today with an updated version of my Zing deck profile post the Invasion Vengeance set. So without further ado, we'll go straight into it. So the biggest shock of this deck was basically the 9 pillars being a rare. So yeah, that was pretty insane. So without further ado, we'll go straight into it. So starting us off, we have these 3 Swani. Swani is just one of those really important monsters in the deck that allows you to really get going with some of your combos. If you are summoning it off Gatu, then the amount of plays that you can just do by summoning one of these and then summoning just any other Zing, being able to go into backs here and then starting your plays off from there is pretty insane. You never really put it in the pendulum zone because obviously you restrict yourself by only being able to pendulum summon only Zephyrs or Zings, and obviously you do play like Metphos and other different bits and pieces in here, so you normally don't really want it in there as such unless you can destroy it in some way, shape or form. So playing 3 of this is just kind of important and needed. You could technically put it down to 2, but I really recommend you putting in 3. Next up, one of the main cards for the deck, we have the 3 Gatu. Gatu is one of your combo makers. He is one of the most important cards for the deck. Simply being able to discard 2 Zing cards, obviously that now includes the counter trap if you do want to draw it, or well, if you do want to discard it because you've got 3 in the deck. You can special summon out 2 different Zing monsters. So being able to just start your combos off with this is just ridiculous. Obviously there are things like Effect Veiler that are running around now. A lot of people are actually maining it, playing it a lot more. It's just one of those things you need to be very careful when you are playing with it. There is one card in here that does allow you to start your combos by not going into this, but I'll explain that in a little bit. It's a very important card, I've always said that, and it's just one of the best cards for the deck, but you do need to be very careful when you are playing it, because if you do get hit by an Effect Veiler, you've just negged horribly, and it's quite difficult sometimes to come back from that. Not impossible, but sometimes quite hard. Next up we have 2 Chai Wen. Now, normally I play 3 Chai Wen, and the only reason I'm running it at 2 now is because of Deng Long. Deng Long can get it into the graveyard very quickly. You can recycle it very easily, and at 2 I just found it to be okay. Now, this is something that might be a bit controversial for the actual deck and the archetype, but I feel that it's actually been okay. It's just one of those cards that you don't really want to see all the time in your hand. Arguably you don't want to see it at all, you just want to be able to special summon it out or discard it for Gatu plays, but playing it at 2 has been alright, and I don't really see any reason to bump it up currently to 3. So next up we have 2 Swani. Swani is at 2 here. Normally it's a staple at 3, but because I have such kind of space issues with this deck, I'm running it at 2, and a lot of them I'm also running it at 2. So Swani again is just one of your best kind of normal Zing monsters, being able to just be a 1/9 beater for problem monsters and also for the extra 500 attack and defense when you do synchro up with it. So it's a great card and one you should definitely run, obviously. Next up, 2 Byan. Byan again is here for the different synchro plays. Obviously you can pop it with your Zings, the normal stuff, but one of the good things about it with this and Chai Wen is a Herald of Arclight that can't be destroyed by battle, which is one of the best plays you can do. If you're struggling and in your opponent's turn, you can just synchro up with it and then go into a Herald of Arclight, excuse me, and then you're good pretty much. Unless they stop the summon, you're pretty much good. So yeah, 2 Byan is working well as always. Next up we have a 1 to Fraxy. So the reason why I'm running this is because it makes it easier to go into things like Deng Long. It makes it easier to go into different plays, and just in general I've been really liking it. It's one of those cards that's been in and out of the deck very often, and overall it's actually working well for this format. I am liking how it's going, and I honestly wouldn't change it currently unless someone says otherwise and proves me wrong. I feel it's really good. It's actually one of those cards that is surprisingly good, one that's forgotten about a lot, and people should really just take into consideration the power that it has, being able to, when it special summons or normal summons, when it's a normal summons or pendulum summons, special summons or pendulum summon, you know what I mean, you can target one of your other Zing monsters and turn it into a tuner. And that is pretty good because it does allow you for extension plays. It means that your opponent might not see that tuner play coming. They're trying to keep out for that Chai Wen or the Gatu. So yeah, it's really, really good if you ask me, and just one that I do like. Next up we have one big sheet and one Paolu. So these are here just for the one-offs. You don't really need any more of them right now. Traps aren't a huge thing, so you can cut the backseat down. And just in general, Paolu is good because I am running the Tarotop Engine, so it does give you that win target so you can special summon. So they're all really great, and it's up to you how many you want to run, really. Next up, going on to the Metaphors, we have the one Volflame, we have the one Gold River, Gold Driver, sorry, simply because these are just your 1 and your 8, the big scale 1 and 8s, and the bigger monsters, so you don't really mind having them, but the main ones that you really do run is Silvered at 3, and then Silverstein at 3 as well. So these are your main ones. There's the 1 and the 8s. They're the low levels that are just, if you do draw them, you can interact with them nicely. You can do different plays with them. It is pretty decent. But yeah, Stealing and Silvered are just good monsters to have for the Metaphor engine because they are arguably some of the best ones. And then going on to some of the just missed cards, we have 3 Tarotop and the 1 Red-Eyed Dice. So I don't run Tentakumborg. You can run Tentakumborg, and some people do, mainly to go into things like Breaksword. I don't own a Breaksword, surprisingly enough, I know, but you can do that play if you so want. So if you do have a Breaksword, for example, you can put a Tentakumborg in and be able to out certain plays that your opponent might have. So Tarotop is a easy way to get to a Den Long without investing too much, because you're special the Tarotop, get the Red-Eyed Dice, summon the Red-Eyed Dice, change the level, and then go into the Deng Long. So you've not overcommitted a lot to going into a Deng Long, but you've already started a lot of your plays. So it's a really solid card, and it's very important to the deck. I fully understand that this card will go to 1. Tarotop will go to 1 in the next ban list, simply because it's just so good. It's just one of those cards that become a cookie cutter card that is pretty much in every single deck that it can fit in. And I fully understand that it's going to go, and it makes sense to go, to be honest. But right now, playing Tarotop with 1 Red-Eyed Dice is good. If you do have access to that Breaksword, I would recommend putting in the Tentakumborg. And then finally for the monsters, we have the 2 Eccentric Archfiends. So Eccentric Archfiend can be referred in this deck, or recurred, sorry, with the Metaphors. Being able to Pendulum Summon it, it's obviously easy. Being able to clear back row as well. I don't play any back row destruction per se in this deck, only the 2 Eccentric Archfiend. So it's obviously good for that, and it's good for outing out your opponent's big monsters like a Darklaw or a Fleazy or something like that, that may be stopping your possible plays for the future. And it's just good to do that, and you can recur it back, as I said, when you have a full Pendulum scale, as long as you aren't using Fraxy. So yeah, it is pretty decent. So 2 Eccentric Archfiend is fine. Going on to the spells, we have the 3 Yangzing Path. Of course we have Yangzing Path. It's one of the best draw cards for the deck, if not the best. And I don't really say too much about it. Like, you can discard it with Gatu if you do need to make those certain plays. And it can be searched, so it's just all good. The argument that you could say you could cut it down to 2 because it can be searched is an interesting one, but one that I would not partake in, simply because it's just such a good card and it really can get you out of tough situations. 2 Desires. Now, I am running 2 Desires, and I know some people might go, it's the Desires again. Well, yeah, I know, but it is pretty decent in this deck because you do have a lot of combo pieces, but you also have multiple versions, so you have to get really unlucky if you do banish all the cards that you don't want. The good thing about Desires is that you can pretty much make your plays and then activate it, so you've already got to your main combo pieces, so you don't mind banishing the extra copies, and you can dig for those counter traps or dig for those further plays that you do want to make. So that's why I do like Desires in this deck, and it's definitely, if you can get them, recommended to use them. 1 Metaphor Fusion. Of course we're running the Metaphors, and Fusion makes sense. Just one of the best Fusion cards ever for this game. Being able to shuffle it back in and draw is good. And then the 1 Soul Charge, being able to make unbreakable boards, and just in general it's a pretty good card. And then finally going on to the counter traps, or I'd say counter traps, the traps. We have the 3 9 Pillars of the Yangzing. This card is absolutely amazing. If you don't know what it does, it says when a spell, a trap, or monster effect is activated, you can and you control a Yangzing card and negate the activation, and if you do, shuffle that card into the deck, then destroy one of the Yangzing card you control. It's just absolutely amazing, really good to just stop your opponent. Searchable by Denlong. Brilliant card if you ask me. And just in general, I really do like it. You kind of just need to run them. Next up, we have the Solemn Brigade, basically the 3 Solemn cards. So 2 strike and 1 warning. This is just basically because this deck really relies on stopping your opponent and countering their plays. So I really do like having these cards in here. It is just really decent. And then finally we have the 1 combination just for your further metaphor play, so you can get the pops and such, so it's pretty good. I only run 1, you can run others, you can run counter if you want, but by then you should be really on the path to really destroying your opponent, to be honest, if you manage just to get 2 pops off, so it's really good. And you can bump it up more if you do want, but I just found in testing that I never really got to that, so yeah. So going on to the extra deck, we have the 3 Abaxia, and that secret is still that ulti is still evading me. It's around here somewhere, I literally can't find it. Abaxia is one of your best monsters for this deck, for the extra deck. Just being able to go into it multiple times, being able to destroy your opponent with its effect. Ironically as well, I was speaking to one of my friends about this, and I said, if when Yang Zings were first announced, you said that Abaxia would not even be used for its first effect anymore when playing the deck, you would say you're a madman, because often you're going to make your big pushes in your opponent's in your first turn before your opponent, so you can get those counter traps, you can lock them down, and you don't even use the shuffle effect. Obviously the shuffle effect is used, I'm not saying it's never used at all, it's an incredible card effect, but more often than not, you are just really using it for its pop effect. So yeah, Abaxia is just absolutely incredible and one you should really be using. Next up we have 1 Cyframe Lord Omega. Omega is a brilliant card, it's one of the best synchro cards around in this format currently. I fully expect it to go to 1 at the next list, but that doesn't really change many things. Omega is just a nice card to go into if you're in a bit of a pinch. Next up we have 1 Ignista. Ignista's in here because I do play Pendulums, I can activate its effect, and just in general it's a good removal non-targetable card. Well, non-targetable removal effect, and just in general it's brilliant. 1 Void Ogre Dragon if you just want to lock your opponent down even more. Brilliant card. The 1 Crystal Wing, you can go into this by multiple different ways, and it is a brilliant card if you ask me. You can just simply go into it if you're using a Yazzie effect with a Chaiwen and so on and so forth. Once you've got enough profit out of it, you can do it. So Crystal Wing, brilliant card. Speaking of which, Yazzie again is a very staple in this extra deck. Just one of the cards that really allows you to extend on a lot of your plays. You'll be going into this with Den Long and such, and what can I say about it? It's just a Scrap Dragon non-targetable. If you really are struggling, you can go into it first turn, depending on your plays that are available to you. 1 Black Rose Moonlight Dragon. It's just here just to clear any annoying cards, you know, those Dark Claws or anything like that you don't really like. You can just get rid of them with this. Next up we have the 2 Deng Long. 2 Deng Long. Deng Long is just absolutely amazing. Being able to search out the counter traps when it's special summoned, being able to level modulate by sending Yang Zing to the graveyard, which will normally be Chaiwen. When it leaves the field, special summon out Yang Zing. Brilliant card effects. You can only summon 1 per turn, but that's just, you know, kind of inevitable. Otherwise it would be a little bit too ridiculous. One of just the best cards for this deck in general, if I'm honest. And yeah, I really do like the card, and I was so hyped when I first saw it. Next up, 1 Chambanara. The high speed I actually like. It's really good in a bit of a pinch. And just in general, it really does save you. It allows you to OTK quite quickly. If you use it like Chaiwen and the Swani, for example, it's already on 2-5. When it attacks, it goes to 2-7, and when it attacks again, it goes to 2-9. If you do want to use it with like a Big Shi, for example, then it means that Big Shi and Gatu, as an example, as I just said, it means that it can't die by battle, so you can just keep attacking no matter what. So if your opponent's got a bigger monster, like for example a Dark Claw, you can go into this and just attack and then attack again, and you're just clearing the monsters out. So it's a really good card, and I really do like it. The 1 Herald of Arclight, this is here just for your Abaxia plays. Again, as I said earlier, with Byan and Chaiwen, you can make it indestructible by battle, and then being able to just bring it back with your Abaxia if you do want to make further defensive plays. It's just really awesome and such a good card. Next up, for the 1 Xyz, we have number 38, Hope Harringer Dragon Titanic Galaxy. I never get that name right first time, it's unbelievable. This is here again for your first turn plays, because you don't want to leave like 2 Abaxia just there. You want to overlay into something that can stun your opponent, and this is one of the best cards for it, to be honest. And then finally we have the 1 Full Metal Foes Alchheist. Alchheist is a card that I've decided to put in simply because it allows me to remove problem monsters on my opponent's side of the field by not investing too much. So getting rid of those Rafflesias or anything like that can be a problem. It's just really, really good, and I was quite surprised at how much I liked it, to be honest. But in general, it's just a solid card that I really do recommend you picking up or running. It's pretty cheap, I think, currently. So yeah, it's just good. So that is it, guys. That is the updated deck profile. Let me know down in the comment section below what you think of the deck. Can Yang Zings actually compete this format, as you just think that they're long forgotten about, they really can't do anything? So as I said, let me know down in the comment section below. Make sure to give me a like, comment, subscribe, and I should catch you guys later.